Hi guys, so this is C64 Dev Machine version 089.6. Just one more than the one I just released because I've done a couple of little changes. It starts not full screen, but you can full screen it for 4K. If it's full screen for you, it's because it's the right size for your monitor. But if you press F11, you can get full screen. If you do it again, you can remove the bar at the bottom. So how this works is basically you just drag nodes in. You've got 3 pages here. I've just redone the look of it here to a bit more on brand, and hopefully you know how to work it. Everything attaches to system in it, other than if you want to continue your code left to right, you press O, or you can click here. Sorry, not that one. This one, and it makes these new blocks. These ones you can move around, but this one you can't. If you press home, it's basically that's where the center of the code sort of starts. You can see the code starts at 080E, and basically this just makes the background and border black, just so that you know it's run. It also injects a little RTS in there just so it returns back to basic. So if you press F5 or you do build and run, that will just work, right? Like so. Right, that's what that does. Just turns the border black and the background black. It goes back to basic. This does nothing until you put code in there. So for example, you can see it continues. So this is to 0817, and that's where this starts because it uses a proxy to sense it. You can see when this is switched on, it's sensing what's to the left of it, so that things read from left to right, top to down, top to bottom. So you create your chains down the way and then down the way. Kind of like if you're reading Japanese or something, it's kind of how that works. But anyway, that's that's kind of that. So you can add sprites and stuff. So if you throw in a sprite macro and you run this, let's just get rid of that. And you think, oh, a sprite will appear. Sure. Just try it, see what happens. It just crashes, right? It crashes because there's no RTS anymore. Right, you need the RTS in there. I did have it so that it would auto-inject if you didn't have one, and I think I'll bring that back because it's just a nice thing to have, but it could have got in the way. Now and then it would sort of leave itself lingering, but do that. Now you can see, oh, it's given me something, right? It's switched to VIC bank in accordance to the sprite based on defaults, right? And the sprite's got just default data in there, just all zeros, all 255, 0255. It's kind of like what default memory looks like through Vice. It just looks that way. So you need to set a sprite. Now it says there's no sprite assets, so you have to add one. And sprite set, best to rename this to I'll put SPR my sprite, SPRITE, right? And then you click edit. You see it's loaded into 6800, but there's nothing there, right? That's kind of where I like to keep that because it's just after bitmap data, and this is VIC bank 1, right? That's what it was switching to. It did that automatically because it detects where the sprite's supposed to be. So you click edit, and you can either load your own file. It will try to load a binary in. It will try to load sprite pad files. It will try to load spread 64. It kind of detects the header and then tries to load it. I've not fully tested it yet, so if you find any bugs related to that, let me know. I just use spread because that's what I created for making sprites. So you just, you know, draw in your sprite however you want. Your colors and everything that you want there. Always seem to draw this little green guy for whatever reason, right? And he's high res little dude, right? Like so. Let's give him some hair. Epic, right? And then you just have to close this, whatever, you can leave it open. What you see is there, it's kind of an odd green. You can change his color directly here, right, just so we can see him, and it just updates. So just load it in one sprite, and he just lives down there at 6800 for 64 bytes. Right, now you just have to choose it, and that just references now the pointer, which is A0 for bank 1. That's kind of this reference that it uses. It does what it needs to do internally with this to choose the right VIC bank. So now we press F5 and we'll see it will switch, and we see a sprite, right? Because we loaded it in this time, it switched to the correct VIC bank, and in that particular VIC bank there's nothing in the background, or there is, but the colours are wrong. If you want to mess with the VIC stuff, throw that in there just before it. You can say set the background to a different colour. You can say multicolour text mode. You can put some things in there and see what you get. Now this is forcing it to bank 0, and I think what will happen is the sprite will override that to bank 1. Right, so it's basically done what I've asked it, right? The borders, colours have changed. Let's try green. So yeah, so it's a handy way of changing the border colours if you don't know how to do that. But really, it just set the VIC bank, and all of that was 47 bytes just to set things up. You don't need that. If you just want to change the background colour, you can just do set var, right, and then just do a lookup for hardware registers and do border, choose your colour. You'd have to do it by code. I'm going to have this as a detect if it's a colour or not, or whatever. But 04 is probably blue, I think, I forget. Let's see what 4 is. So that's in the border. Right, it's purple. So if you want that into the background as well, you can hold down Control and drag the node, so you just copy it instead of trying to find it again and look it up. Right, and then you can just say, right, let's put that in to 09 for change that to border background color 0. So that's your main background color. The other two are used for character sets. So there you go, we got lovely brown. Let's do light blue, which is 0E. And just F5, just test it. Okay, so you got a little sprite drawing there, that's all cool, right? You want to move them around, you want to use your joystick, whatever, right? So what you'll need to do is create a game loop where it reads the joystick, right? So what you want to do is maybe, you can carry on working down if you want, right? The RTS is kind of redundant because I'm going to create a game loop. I don't want to escape out to basic. And even then, you didn't even see it go back to the prompt, the ready prompt, because it was in a different VIC mode completely. So what you want to do is now create a game loop. I do recommend just getting an OR block in there just for tidiness. Just put that there. That will detect where this ends at 084F. That's where it begins. So it's just continuous code. When you look at it in disassembly, you'll just see it just carries on. Right, so what you want to do is add something to help move your sprite. But you need a loop, right? So press A to create a loop. I'll just do Control backspace and call it game loop, right? Whatever you want to call it. So game loop, and then you want to throw in the joystick macro, right? And you can turn off fallback, you don't really need it. And what you want to do is press J for a jump target, change that to game loop, right? That's your game loop. It's just reading through the joystick stuff. Nothing will happen here. Press F5, all it will do is draw the sprite and then hang waiting on the joystick input, right? But I've not done anything else. So right, you can carry on. If you like working across the way, you can carry on working across the way, right? And what we'll do is we'll do a call for right. So we're going to move this guy right, so we can use the move block, right? But we're not calling, this doesn't just know we want to move right. It's asking for this label. So we press A, put that up here. Labels don't cost anything, they're just part of the infrastructure. You'll see that when you do coding in a text form as well, you create labels, and it's just a marker of where code has to jump to, etc. So we're going to move sprite 0 right? That's sprite 0. You can tell by the slot there, right? Slot 0. It uses slot 0 to 7. That's how many 8 sprites is what Commodore can display. And you basically just tell it what direction to go at what speed. So DX, direction X, a speed of 1, right? And if you don't enable the 9th bit, it basically will wrap. That's what this wrap is for. It's going to wrap when it hits 255 because bytes only go up to 255. And what you have to do is you have to carry the value over to another bit, right? To carry on like a higher value. So it basically uses the next byte, the 9th bit, if you like, of the next byte, right? And that works. So that will just move, right? That will, then it will go right, okay, move, then what, right? It needs to kind of go back to this game loop. So what you do is just control drag that there. So it's going to go right for 1 and go back to the game loop. Are you pressing right? If so, go here, and it sort of just does this, right? If you're pressing right. If you're not, it'll just carry on in the loop. So let's just give it a test. See, I don't have 9th bit on and I have wrap on, so when I get to run a bit here, right, just make sure your joysticks are set up. Enable keyboard joysticks, configure. I've got it set to numpad. So now if I push 6, he's super fast. Oh, he's so fast, he's kind of like having a lapse, right? I forgot something. It's important. The Commodore 64 is very fast, right? It's very, very fast. So it runs at a very fast rate, faster than the screen. So you end up at the screen is not ready for it, sort of thing. So what you want to do is a V-wait, right? And we're V-waiting for the move to be finished. I think, right? It's nothing to do with the drawing of the sprite. That's already drawn. The sprite is already there, right? It's been activated. It's got the data in it, and it's just awake, right? It's just there. All we're doing is moving it. And sprites always exist. We just either activate them or deactivate them, right? We don't have to redraw it. It's not like a modern machine or anything like that. So now this raster line is actually waiting a good amount till it gets to the bottom of the screen. And there we go. Now we should wrap around a bit here. There we go. He just goes back there because of that 9th bit. Right, if you enable that, it costs a bit more. You see a good chunk more. It does a lot of internal things. It's probably a bit more than it should be, but until I learn better techniques of coding this stuff, then it's kind of what we're stuck with. It's partly down to some other stuff as well, like does he wrap? So he's gone right back to here. Right, so you kind of track him. He'll go through the border, through there, to the other side of the screen, coming through that border, coming out, run of it now, there we go. So he's gone all the way, even beyond the main screen. So what I decided would be good was adding a stop, right? So basically now, when he gets to the edge, he'll just stop moving. So it's really good for those single screens, right? If there's a wall there, basically, right? Can't go any further. It can't go left yet either because we've not coded that. So it's the same idea for going left. Again, it's up to you if you want to use more org blocks that way, but I think I'll get away with what I'll do is I'll put my game loop here, right? Just to be organized. There's nothing to stop you doing that. There's a little bug where things sort of move a bit, and what you can actually do is press tab on these, right, and you create this little indent, which is kind of nice. Get rid of that one. This one should then auto detect 6A, right? There's a little bug here. I mean, that should be, what is that saying, 6A and not A, B, C, D. Oh no, it's right. Right, so shift and tab will bring things back again as well, but you want to do something like that, right? Just to show you. That's a little game loop there. You can also throw in a comment, press C, drag it in, and if you want to hide the comments, you can press F3, and you can create that little kind of gap. Right? It's up to you if you find that more organized or not, but I just want my my vertical columns just to be a bit bigger so that I can still read everything. Right, so then what I'll do is I'll control drag this and control backspace left, control drag, control drag, control drag. Right, those are fine. The only thing I need to change is this to -1, and that's him. He'll go left, but I need to just tell it left is now active as well. Right, that costs a few more bytes. It's dynamic in the sense that it only uses up the bytes that you ask it to, right, for different features. So you can press F3 again to toggle your comments. You can put a comment in there, and I could put this main game loop for input control. Alright, and then you get that little one there. If you want to just put a space in there like that. Right, so that's all good. It should move left and right now. So press F5, give it a test. Another thing with VIC, if you want it to load very quickly, go into settings and look for, is it machine? One of these. It's auto start, inject into RAM. This one, right? So host auto start PRG mode, inject into RAM. Right? It just makes it super fast for loading. It loads immediately if you've got a bigger project. All right. So meant to test. Yep, left and right. So again, the number pad, and he should go left and stop. All right. I've not actually tested what happens if, this could be a bug, right? If I have one on wrap and one on stop. I often like to try these things, or the whole thing will explode. So you might get jammed on the right. Yeah, that's fine, it's working. Right, and then just for peace of mind, I'm just gonna swap them just to prove that my code is super robust. Come on, come out, come out. Oh, yay. Okay, so it all works, right? And then will he stop when he goes there? Yep. Groovy, right? I'm just glad like I don't have any holes in my code, because there's been a lot of patching up going on as I make this. Right, so we've got to do moving left and right. So what, right? What else can we do? Well, something recent I've added is collide. So this is this is something that I think, I'm trying to remember, did we check this or do we set this up? So if this happens, sprite hits a sprite and you choose the two sprites, then it's going to go to something, it's only going to do something, right? That's how that works. So how often do you check your collisions? Well, you know, every time you move. So we could tie it into movement, or we could tie it into the game loop, right? So I could put it here, right? It won't do anything yet. There's nothing in there. In fact, this might crash if it doesn't. Yeah, it's running all fine, right? I'm just checking to see if there would be any overhead to it. Right, but we need another sprite. So let's go and edit our sprites. And let's make a bad guy. I don't know. Make something red. Right, red is bad. Red bad. This guy's a I don't know, spiky demon thing, right? And you see, I'm just doing high res sprites or whatever, right? It's all good. There's my ultimate boss, one sprite boss, right? And he's got big stocky feet like that, right? And spinny hands. Whatever, right? That's our enemy, right? Just come out of that. That will just update. Close that, and we need to now get that sprite in. So again, I'll just control drag, pop that there. Shift tab. It likes to match tabbing with stuff. I thought I'd be clever and let it do that. Right, so there's our bad guy. He's going to be in slot 1. that means he'll be drawn behind slot 0. Slot 0 is drawn last, if you like, so it's always in front. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, so it's like the bigger the number, the further away they are. So you can use that to sort of make depth tricks if you swap their slots, which you can do fairly easily, right? But anyway, he'll automatically activate. There's a little bit of code in there that just ORs the bit that's needed to activate him. You don't have to activate him with code, right? So he'll be there. I need to move him across a bit, otherwise he's going to bump into me right away. So let's put him to 180. And does he move? Not really. I don't really care right now, but we just want to check for collision. So we're checking between 0 and 1, right? And what happens if we hit? We need to go somewhere, we need to do something. So I'll put in another OR block. And you can put in like comments and stuff here to say, you know, what it does. It's asking if I wanted to plop it in there, but I just want to keep it up here. This is just move left and right. Right, you can also do these boxes. So if you press B, and then you can drag a box out like that. And I just call this player movement, right? And that way, like, I can move this whole block around. The only problem is if I move it and the proxy's still on, it's going to mess up. So you don't want to move this too far. It's just for organization purposes. But you can lock this address in if you turn proxy off. But the only problem is that if I start adding stuff at the bottom here, that's going to upset this, and you end up with an overlap, right? And sometimes I think you should get flashing if this was actually connected. Right, it's not actually doing it now, but that's 08A7, 08A7. So both of them live in the same place. That should actually flash, but the script for that's not as sensitive as it used to be. I think you have to add a couple or a bigger byte value. Go in there, or it's just not working at all, right? Right, but basically, I'm going to keep that switched on. I'm going to keep that down there, and that's just our player movement. If you ever get lost, just press space, and that'll zoom back in there. You can use these zoom boxes quite easily, but home is also going to bring you back to the system, and if you ever get really lost, just press home. Right, what's next? So sprite's hitting the sprite, and it's asking for what happens and when we hit. We go somewhere. Alright, so I'll put a label up here, and I'll say touched enemy. Right, and what happens when we touch the enemy? Well, for now I don't really have much I can do, but I can maybe change the background color. So I'll just do a set var 02 on the border. I'll do the border. Border will go red. Right, but then what will happen then? Well, this needs to go back to the game loop. Right, it's kind of how it works. Right, we jumped. This is a jump. Right, I don't like using subroutines like JSRs because you build up these the stack of what. When you do a subroutine, it's basically like you can have nested subroutines, right? So you end up with these stacks of where you went, and then as you sort of disengage, then it's, you know, pulls that from the stack, and it can get a bit messy. It's up to you, right? But I just preferred it to just be a jump, and then you just jump back. So yeah, you jump around quite a lot. An RTS is only, I think it's only 2 bytes or 1 byte. So an RTS is effectively cheaper than a jump back 3 bytes, right? So we lose 2 bytes is the sad side to it, right? I'm making things more expensive, but for learning purposes and making a basic game, this is still going to get you pretty far. You know, you'll be making games up to the standard of 1985 from 1983 with this. I reckon, you know, you can make real basic games even further if you get graphics and sound in there. The sky's the limit. Right, anyway, so it's going to do that and go back to the game loop. So we should be able to move and touch this character. There he is. Go, hello, make friends. Oh, and nothing actually happened. Okay, interesting. So nothing happened. could be a new bug, or the fact the code isn't even reaching here. The code's not going back to like a fallback or anything like that, or yeah. So what I should do is just I'll put joy done on and put a label in there, and I'll call this joy done. Right. In theory, it should be carrying this out, but don't know if I've got it perfect just yet. But let's just see if that border will change the red. Nope, not even the slightest. No trace of it. Okay, well, I failed my own test there, so I think this needs to go somewhere else. It might have to go into here. Right, it might have to go into, I'm just going to check it for moving left at least. No, that's still not working right. I had this working before. Oh, you know what I've not done? I've not picked the bloody label. Right, so I'll take that out. I've just not picked the label, right, of what happens. Simple as that. So the border should go red now. There we go. It took a little while, but I wonder why it took so long. I guess because I was still pressing right. So if I go, yeah, I can go right through them. It registered, but it didn't. It set some sort of bit, right? It set some bit somewhere. It says you collided with a sprite, but it didn't actually change the border until I let go of moving because it was stuck in this loop. So what would be good to know is reading that address of the collision thing, right? But I can always just set a variable up here. If this is true, I don't know, like the right way to do it is probably to just put this up here, to be honest. We don't need joy done. I think it should be checking right away. There we go. Right. So sometimes just getting the order of your code right fixes the problem. Right. You just have to think about it. What's it doing here? Game loop. Check. See if you've collided with anything. All right. I'm going to let you move now. Right. I could even make it, if I collide with something, I'll force us back the other way. How cool was that? So what I could do is just I need to, in order to know how to push me back, I need to know what way I'm going. So I would have to set like a variable called direction. So for example, I could do a byte and call it direction, right? And it will be there ready to be used. So I can't use negative values, right? But I can use like FF or 0, 0, 0, right, to say FF is right, 0, 0 is left. Or I might do something like 0, 0 is no direction, right is 1, and left is 2, right? So what I'll do is I'll set this var up before we get into the main loop and just say, right, set var lookup direction. It's setting it at 0. I'm just going to put that there because I just want it to look like it's only called once. Then we're into our little loop here. Right, see how I'm kind of using the tabulation there for that. Right. So that's set at 0, and I would need to reset it as 0. So I could actually just do let's see if I'm moving left or right and I collide, check collision. I don't want to reset this to 0 anywhere here, right? I'll just leave it at 0 for now, and what I'll do is I'll set it if I'm moving right. So I'll just control drag it to, yeah, one of these moves. Right. In theory, I could tap into this value. So what I might do is expose where that actually is, because that would be useful. You can see the value there. right? Instead of me setting up a new variable, I could just tap that one, but I don't show you where that is. That's another way of me not making this code very lean for you in the long run, but you still got loads of room, right? Still got loads of room, but it's good to think about these things, like how could you make your code more efficient and more lean, less, you know, excessive code everywhere. So I'm always thinking that when I make this, but I know it's going to happen. Right, macro move, we'll say 1 is right. So we set that to 1. And then I'm going to say move left. Right, that's going to be 2. Right, and I could do the fallback and reset it, but it doesn't really matter. This just only matters for the sake of me seeing where to push the player back. So we could say now up here we want to do a couple of things. We want to basically well, there's 2 things we could do to make this easier, right? If you look up any of the variables, so if you do a set var, right, and you look up, you actually have some hardware registers here, like for Sprite 0's X, right? And it tells you where that actually is, right? And that's a handy thing, because that's literally what we're doing. We're just increasing that by 1, right? That's all we're doing there, or we're adding a value to it if it's more than 1. Right, internally that's how it works. If it's only 1, it uses an inc. If it's more than 1, it will use like an adding effect. Right. So what I can essentially do is if I hit if I touch the enemy here, and I know what way I'm going, I can mess with this D000, which is the sprite, the player's X position. Right. So I can do it that way. Right, as well. So let me just work out what I'm trying to get at then. So you can use like an if node if you wanted. So if direction is equal to, so touching the enemy is equal to 1, I was going right, then I'm going to go and do something else. I'm going to go and, well, maybe I can just jump to left, right? Let's see how that works. Right, so let's put that in like that. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to force it to act like a barrier. Right, it should sort of counter me moving right. That's the theory. See? So I'm kind of like being told to push left at times, so I get this kind of bumping effect. That works. So I collided with the enemy, right? But the border never went back. The border never reset either. So it just sets that collision flag, but doesn't reset it, right? We don't necessarily reset it. It resets itself in a way, but we've already turned the border a different color. So what we could do is have the border reset at some point. So I can control and drag that to, I'll put it into here, and I'll put it back to, I'll just call it black, right? So it should go black initially because it will first meet that. Right, get all this weird fuzziness. But there we go. Right, so it goes back to black. All these little dots you see everywhere is just it's just the kind of raster timing. If you want to get rid of that, you can put in a v-weight here as part of this game loop, right? And that will help alleviate that. You still get some little marker somewhere, right? See down the bottom there, it's where the raster ends, right? But it's a lot cleaner, right? Stuff like that. You can extend that further as well. You just add in another one, and eventually you can get it to be out the screen. I think if you add something like 24 in, like 24 plus an FF, I forget what it is, but it should go much further down past the screen, if I remember right. Never done it there. I think it's because like it's to do all these other ones as well. You could try put one up here as well for when it changes. Right, V-weights are just handy to slow the game down a bit to be in sync with 60 frames per second or whatever. Right, I mean, but that's still kind of cool, right? It's like I'm getting mauled. So I would never be able to get to the other side of him, right? Unless I done some sort of jumping thing, right? Now with jumping, you'd maybe assign to the fire button, right? You follow me on this? So you assign to the fire button, you'd say a state would go into a jumping state, F jumping, right? And then you would probably have some byte data, like a lookup table of Y offsets, right? And think of it as decrements to the Y position. So in here I could do something like, okay, we're going to jump, it's going to be like fast at first and then slower and then start to fall. So we could do 3, right, a jump of 0 to 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, do a 5, then I'll do a 6. It's not going to be high enough, right, and then I'll do another 06 just to sort of hold them in the air a little bit, and then falling again. So I'll do a different 04 and 02 and then 00 again. I think that should be good. Can even do a little bounce, right? So we come out of that, that's all updated. That would be our lookup table for being in a jumping state. Now this is tricky because you just want this to be sort of piped in a byte at a time, and I've not really got it all figured out yet, right? Don't judge me on this, but this is where when I'm using this to make a game, I'm thinking, right, how would I code this if I was doing this with a script, right? I would be increasing a pointer to look at different bits of those data, right, to a point where I've read all the data, and that's the jump complete. So the jump has, I don't say how many bytes that is, but it's C100 to C109 is where it lives, so it's 9 bytes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's actually 10. Oh, it tells you there are 10 bytes, right? It's just hidden behind there, so I need to fix my text position up. So how would you do that? So what you do is, if we press fire, sure, we're going to jump to a label called fire, right? I mean, this is I'm keeping this as basic as possible, right? I don't want to make this seem complicated, because it's really complicated if you recode this by hand, by text. There's loads of it's an art form, right? You have to be just so clued up about everything. Whereas the way I've approached this tool is I don't have a clue about machine code programming. It doesn't resonate with me. I don't have the patience for it. Yeah, I'm really good at using Game Maker, so I can make code, right? I can make stuff happen based on data that I find, and then from there I'll try and make sense of it, right? So for now it's just a case of we're stuck with all this extra baggage that might be there. So it's not for everyone, this tool. It's more for can I throw something together quickly in a week or two. So I could keep on at this and eventually come up with a game. In fact, I should save it. There's no autosave in place yet, so I would recommend saving it quite often. Right, what was it? Fire. Right, so if I press fire, I'm gonna want to jump. So what I can do is I need to think about it different ways. So I want to have a state machine, just like direction. I could use direction actually. I could set direction to, see how I set direction to 1 here, so I can't move because I basically check the direction and it forces me back the way, right? And it hurts my player or whatever as well, which I've not done yet, and I still have to do what happens if I'm going right. So I could actually I actually do that just now. If UV direction is 2, then I'm going to go to right. Now, before I get into fire, I'm not going to press fire because it would crash unless I go back to game loop, so I'll just do that now. Right, so that's fire buttons registered. It'll come here, it'll go back to game loop. Nothing's happened yet. I'm just going to save that there. And where was I? Okay, so I just want to test that it works the same in other directions. So I'm just going to move the enemy to 80. I'll do even lower. Let's do 60. And we should be to the right of them, and the same thing should happen if we go there. Oh, crash. Right, interesting. Little crash. So what happened was set direction 02, set direction 01, set direction 02. These two if nodes are in the same bit. What's that all about? Touched enemy. Ah, they kind of like, they're fighting each other, and it probably caused some overflow. But this should, this should immediately go to left. Right. Interesting. I wonder if it will crash if I do it this way. So this is obviously these two nodes fighting with each other. Oh, it still crashed. Okay. I don't think it likes 2 being used to compare. Right. I could just say not equal to 1. Still crashes. Interesting. That's definitely correct. Right, okay, well that's something I need to look into, because that doesn't make any sense. Let's just take that one out, see if it does it again. Yeah, I think I'm... Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch these on. I think it's something to do with the bytes are too far away. So they use like there we go. They use branches internally, and branches can only reach 128. Let's just keep going back to them. So I'll put that back to like that. Branches don't go far enough for what I was trying to do there, so I'm too far away. So I use the springboard, which does a little kind of local jump and then jumps to where it has to go. So let's jump into right, back to game loop, left, back to game loop. So this should work now. Kind of got stuck on him for some reason. Yeah, I'm getting stuck on him because more than likely it's then catching this as well. It shouldn't be doing that though, because yeah, it is, because it's setting direction to 1, so it's fighting with itself. Right. Okay, so it's really difficult now because I was relying on that to flag things up to move me again, but instead of jumping to right, I'll just move them. Right, that makes more sense. Or I'll put this in a different, I'll put this in a different thing and call it bump right or whatever, right? So bump right. So I'm bumping to the right, so it means I'm moving. I'll move them like 3 that way, right? And then it's going to go back to game loop, and then again I'll do a bump left, and I'll move them -3 back to game loop, right? And that way I just need this to be bump right and bump left, I think. Yeah, because what was happening was I was jumping into these loops and it was set in this direction again, which was making a kind of infinite trap, if you like. There we go. We got a nice little knockback. that works. And then let's just try the other side. You can see I like to do a lot of testing. That's the only way I know that my code works, is to test. And I usually test every little bit of change. Like you can see, that's just my code style, and it's pretty bulletproof. I find is the right way to do it. Test everything that you touch, and then that way you don't do more than one change to your code, and then test something, because then you'll fight over what one was to blame, right? So you need to test every time you do a change. It's just a long slog, right? Jumping. How's that going to work? We're going to set our direction to 3, right? So I'm just using this little direction as a carrier to the state, right? So my state, and I can even do a comment somewhere. Let's do, where am I setting this? I'll just put it up here. So I'll put a comment and I'll call it my state machine, right? And I can say 1 is left, I think 2 is right, 3 is jumping, right? So that's my little state machine. Simple as that. Let me just check I've got that right. 0, 1, 4, right. Okay, I got that wrong. Okay, my OCD is kicking in there and I need to fix that. I don't have the best typing sort of block here yet. Right, so come on, move it. So that's fire, fire here. Set UV direction to 3. So that just basically now says jump, right? But I don't want anything else to get in the way if I'm jumping. Maybe I can allow move left and right, right? Whatever. I just want it to be in that state. That's the other thing. If I push left and right, it will come out of the jumping state. So I can't allow the other ones to happen until the jumping's finished. Right, see the logic there? See my brain working? So I basically need to say with these, right? I could even do it here. I could do a check here, right? There's nothing to stop me doing a check here. There's a game loop. I could basically say, if I'm jumping, ignore this, go somewhere else, right? So I could do my check here, right? If direction or state. I can rename it later, right? I think if you rename variables, they might mess up. I still need to check if let me just show you what I mean. Save it first. The only way to save it is to save it. Fortunately, there's no autosave right now. So UV direction, you can't change it anyway. It's kind of just there, right? Anyway, I was thinking I could rename it, but you can't rename variables once they're in there. You can delete them, but then you'll lose reference, and then you can make a new one and just re-reference that new one if you do want to change the name. But anyway, direction's fine. State machine, state, direction, it's all fine, right? If the state equals 3, right? If the state equals 3, which is jumping, I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to check fire again. What happened is when I land, I'll change the state back to 0, right? So that this can be read again. So I do want to jump over this, and I'll just create a label, and I call it skip input, right? And I'll just put that there, and then say skip input, right? The only problem is I'm not resetting it. So what will happen if I press fire is it will always skip, because this will always be 3. There's no other way that there's no other place where I don't reset it, right? So I mean, test your logic as well. There's no point knowing how something works and not having the joy of seeing like I was right, you know, and the code actually works. So what was I saying? Left and right, if I press fire, it locks everything up, right? That's exactly what's happened, because even if we can look at the machine code, if you do Alt H, right, if you look back at where that lives, that's in C00B, you'll see that's stuck in a number 03, right? So we can do D C00B 00B just to look at that one byte, and there it is. This is 03, right? Ignore all this other junk, that's just numbers run about it. It's trying to assume it's a code. If you want to look at another way, just do M COOB and you'll just see that value, right? 03. So it's never able to get back to normal. So what would make it normal again is if it's finished the jump. The jump is a whole routine in itself. It needs to carry out the jump and everything else needs to happen. So it's kind of like a subroutine. You know, update the enemy, update movement, update the enemy, update the score, update another enemy, update hazard. You know, it's like all these little routines will make this really, you know, into a beast of a bit of code. So I don't want to go too far with it. I realise this is probably as much as I can manage right now, because what I want to do is make sure everything else works with this tool. I've got scrolling working, collision, as you can see, animation works, interrupt requests work, text scrolling, the actual map scrolling, multicolor map, single color map, so you can use the full 16 colors, monochrome versus multicolor, movement works, VIC works, maps work, character sets work. I want to do a character set editor built into it. Bitmaps load into 4000 right now. They don't really like sitting anywhere else. SIDs load, they like sitting at 1000, although I've seen them work at 5000 and 8000. Just depends where you put everything else. You need to watch for your overlaps. Joystick's working, print is working, track is, I've changed track now just to be, it's much simpler. It was based on keys because that was me testing stuff, but now it just selects the track and it's based on the init value, which I think is based on the SID that you load. It will detect if there's a SID present and then changes the init, and then you just choose the track here, you know, and it's good for that. Music is your SID and sprite used. So all this stuff is in place, all these different variables and everything, all these opcodes. There's a few illegals that I still want to add. You know, I can always reshuffle this about. I redesigned it to look more Commodore-ish. I just felt like I was missing a bit of a brand identity with it, so I just thought, let's make that always nice. But hopefully this is enough to get you guys started, and if you are a coder that uses assembly, the text form, I would just really love for you to translate what you do in text into this, even though it's probably not in your best interest. I would just love to see a routine or whatever translated into nodes. I know it's probably slower for you because typing is natural for people who type, but some of these routines are like 10 bytes, which, you know, there's a few instructions. Some of them are much bigger. The joystick adds up. It's convenience, really, is what I'm selling here, as you know, the world selling everybody convenience every day. I just wanted to make this because I do want to make games as well, and as I said, you'll be able to make a game that sits nicely between 1983 and 1985 somewhere, you know, something basic. But look at the game Bruce Lee. It's amazing, and that sits in that nice area. Loads of games from that era that would just be able to be made with this. You know, sky's the limit. But if you have any questions about how it works, again, documentation is coming. It's just waiting because I need to get everything else done before I document everything, because things change all the time as well. If things don't quite work with other things, I might change them or strip something out, or realise that I've overcomplicated a node. Like, for example, the other day I had the collision node had to be combined with an if node because it would put the result of collision into a variable that you had to check. But I just thought, just put it all into one. But you can see this would kind of generally work. What I'll do is I'll save this file, and I'll put a link to it in the video. The only problem is you'll have to buy this version because I've locked the demo to 0.76 or something, simply because I'm doing this full time and I don't have any other work and I need income from it, and it's not a lot, right? I'm only asking for like $5 or something towards this, but I think it could be pretty big, and yeah, I look forward to someone making a game with it. There's loads of memory there that can be filled with graphics, sprites. So I put my bitmap here, my sprites go here, map data for levels goes there, code could go up here, loads of room for code down here, and character sets. There's plenty of memory to make a good game, and it's great because it's like basic with ability, right? It's like those times where you just type in 10 print my name is 20 go to 10 run. It's got that feeling to it for me. Let me just save this again and show you what I mean, like how simple it is. And you'll see in my other videos, like the print video, all the other times when I was making these macros, I would make a video up for them. But as you can see, it's getting closer to being able to make a game. It's just content, really. Let's reset that. So print, clear screen. Oh, hi, my name is Chicka Slim Shady. Right, and RTS. You must put an RTS in if there's no exit. Right, there's no game loop. It just gets it back to basic. My name is Chicka Slim Shady. I thought I said Chicka. But anyway, you can always just go and edit things. So just being able to do stuff like that, clear screen, and you can see these in previous videos, setting cursors, just look it all up. All you have to, you can machine code in this, you can load the accumulator with a value, you can store it into a location. I think is it 214. If I put 03 into store 0214 is the row the cursor will end up at. Could be wrong. Yeah, 211 maybe. I could be getting mixed up. Yeah. Anyway, that's supposed to like set the cursor, and I forget the value for it. It's like my brain just forgets stuff. But look into it all. You learn machine code through it. You can literally press F5, run the most basic. There's going to be 2 RTSs here, I think, potentially, but you can run it. You can do Alt H and D O8 OE to 08 to whatever, right? And it shows you exactly. Yeah, that's the bit of code there. I actually used the RTS because I put it in there. Never added a second one. So RTS just gets you back to the prompt there. It just returns from whatever subroutine was called into it. But anyway, that's really it. I'm going to work on undo, redo. I'm going to work on the map data. What I want to do is be able to, instead of just loading, I want to be able to create a new map that uses your character set, and I also want to not depend on like importing a character set. I want to be able to make a new one and add characters and stuff. And I think eventually I'll make a sprite editor for it instead of using spread, because that's pretty old now. I made that in 2022. It's good, right? But I do want to redo it, and then it'd be cool just to have it in here, and as well as being able to import every file type under the sun, and do everything. I reckon in another year this will be, you know, tight, really tight, and even like be able to trim some of the fat off. If you know what you're doing, you can also overwrite code. For example, I could do an OR block, and I know await OE is this first instruction, and this one's the second one. So if I do from await OF, right, I'm basically hitting this point, and I can now overwrite it with a different value just by hard coding an overwrite, and I can now do like 07. Right, so what's going to happen is it's going to go SEI, LDA, da 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 da, 7. Oh, wait a minute. This is now overwriting that. Boom. Right, at await OF. Right, SEI I think is just one instruction. If I'm right, maybe it's 2. Let me just check. Should be, yeah, 1 byte. It's 1 instruction. It's 2 cycles, but it's 1 byte. So it's really, you go by that. So now I should get, as soon as it starts up, yellow. Boom. Right, so you can overwrite that start block, and you can start coding from there. Like, there's nothing to stop you just saying, well, you know what, wait OE, I'll just start overwriting what that says. I don't want an LDA stored DO2, right? I just want what I want. I want it to do something else, right? So you can make it do that. Check out all the other videos because they're still good to go. There's nothing really wrong or broken with them. Just some code internally changes now and again to make things more compatible with other things to avoid crashes. And I'm always tightening that up, like especially like overlaps and stuff. I noticed that never flashed, for example. Like if this is at await OE and I put stuff in there, that's supposed to start flashing because it's like, oh, you're conflicting with this data, right? It's essentially overlapping it, right? So something's missing somewhere. I took something out because the flashing was annoying me, and I can bring it back. But you just have to be mindful of it. I'll make it more obvious later again. Kind of still, I kind of jump back and forward a bit between features. So sprite priority bit, so things can be in front or behind background. Like I said, the other stuff. I'm sure there was some other things as well that I wanted to add, and this list will just keep growing. You know, feel free to ask for things, and I will make a macro up for them, and I'll just let this keep growing. So yeah, I hope you like the new UI and the look of it and everything. I'm quite happy how it all looks and feels now. I do feel this is a bit big now. I might crunch it into the side a bit more, or make it so it can be hidden. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!